Today, I will deliver to you my grilled cheese manifesto. Three huge, important takeaways. 1, I believe in sliced cheese, not grated. 2, there's a little technique that I call the double crunch, which is going to take your grilled cheese to a whole nother level and a whole new height. And 3, I think we can all agree that condiments are the most important part of a grilled cheese. This grilled cheese takes the condiment, which is an extremely necessary part of the enjoyment of a grilled cheese, and shoves it right inside of the grilled cheese so that there's balance in every single bite. Okay, so what's the deal with this particular grilled cheese? This is called the Gilda grilled cheese. What is a Gilda? It is a Spanish tapas skewer. It's basically like a really briny, umami little snick snack that you eat in the Basque region when you're drinking your cider. I have taken inspiration from that skewer, but turned it into a tapenade that goes inside a grilled cheese that is layered with cheddar and manchego and fried on both sides until crispy and oozy and gooey and delicious. So the first step here, let's talk about the cheese. We're using manchego and cheddar. I have done a lot of thinking and testing on the best way to prep your cheese for grilled cheese. And a lot of people think grating it is great. And actually what I've learned is that when you grate your cheese and then put it inside, it melts so quickly that it sometimes ends up like soaking into the crumb of the bread and making it sort of gummy. And that the better way to prep your cheese is to thinly slice it as such. So I'm doing about 3 ounces of manchego and then 3 ounces of aged cheddar. And the key here is consistency with the thickness so that they all melt at the same rate. Okay, so, excuse me, sir. The next thing we're gonna tackle here is the condiment. A grilled cheese is inherently very rich and fatty, and what it needs to balance that out is something either sweet or briny or acidic. Here, instead of relying on ketchup or mustard or any of those condiments, we're making a condiment of our own. That's a tapenade. And I'm using a mix of all of the ingredients that you find in a Gilda. So here I have pepperoncini, which are just pickled hot peppers, which I'm finely chopping. Everything here is gonna get finely chopped and turned into like a little paste, basically. Cornichons, which are basically replacing like a side of pickles on a grilled cheese here. So I'm gonna finely chop a bunch of these. Green olives, so I'm using Castelvetranos because they're my favorite olive. If you prefer like a classic, more briny olive, like a martini olive type of situation, Spanish olive, go for it. Finally, we have 4 anchovies. And I'm going to roughly chop them. And then I'm using the side of my knife to just kind of like smash them into the cutting board, and that breaks them down and turns them into a paste. And then the last part of this tapenade is garlic. And I'm gonna grate 2 cloves of garlic raw right into the tapenade, and it will mellow out as it cooks. We're gonna add a couple of glugs of olive oil just to like hold it all together. Make sure that the anchovies get nice and mixed in, they don't clump together. And that will be our condiment. There's one more thing we need to talk about, and that's the third learning here that I hope that you take away with you into your home kitchens. And that involves the technique that we're calling, or I am calling anyway, the double crunch. This grilled cheese has you jumpstart the process by first frying the bread in a skillet in a little bit of olive oil, and then you build the grilled cheese on the fried crispy side and put those together so that when you fry it in the skillet to melt the cheese, there's crispiness inside and out and all around. The reason we do that is A, the texture, like everybody loves crunch, and now we've got double crunch, and B, the searing on the inside of the bread prevents the cheese further from soaking into the bread and becoming gluey, and it allows it to like stay suspended between those 2 slices. So let's go crisp. Shall we crisp over here? I'm preheating this skillet over medium. It's cast iron, it's gonna take a second to heat up, but I'm gonna give it a couple glugs of olive oil. The bread is going in and I'm just kind of like squiddling it around. I know I made that up, but like, is there a better word for what I'm doing here? This is such a squidgle, to make sure that all parts of the bread are getting saturated in some of that olive oil. And we're just gonna let this rip until it's nice and crisp and golden brown. That looks good, woo! So we've got currently single crunch on the cutting board. No crunch, crunch. This is how it begins. So on to the single crunch side, we will start layering our cheese. Here's another thing. If you are the type of person who fucks with frico, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, frico being the like lacy, cheesy, curtainy edges that fall out of a grilled cheese and get crispy in the skillet, the best thing you can do for yourself is to strategically place the cheese such that it hangs over the edge of the bread. And then I'm gonna do a layer of manchego right on top of that. Once I have one layer of cheese, so the cheddar is down, I'm gonna stuff the inside with some of this tapenade. And we put it on the inside because the outsides need to melt the cheese, so we wanna make sure that they have the closest contact to the bread. And then we go on with our second layer of cheese, so our manchego, again, making sure that some of it is hanging off the edge. And then this side goes inside the sandwich, so now we've got the untoasted sides on the outside. You see the pre-cheese? So now we go back into the skillet. And at this point, I'm gonna add a little bit of butter because I really like the flavor of butter on the outsides of my grilled cheese. The reason I didn't do it on the inside is because the leftover butter would have burned in the skillet by this point. So I'm gonna add a pat of butter. And once it stops to sizzle, we're gonna throw the grilled cheese in. We're doing another squidgle. Just make sure it's soaking up all of that butter. And I'm turning it down because I don't want it to cook too fast. I like a really nice, even golden brown exterior, and that ensures that the cheese melts appropriately on the inside. A lot of people think that grilled cheese is like a quick 5-minute endeavor. No, grilled cheese is like maybe a 12-minute item plus the prep time. Like grilled cheese takes 20 minutes and you're lying to yourself if you think that it takes only 5. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Yum alert! Oh my God. Okay, and look, it's nice and spilling over here. We love to see it. I don't know if I've ever seen anything this stunning in my life. Okay, last thing. Because this was originally inspired by a Gilda skewer, we're going to serve them with Gilda skewers. And so I'm taking a nice fatty little anchovy, okay, and I'm going to make a skewer of anchovy, olive, pepperoncini, and cornichons, and we're gonna stick it right on top. And that's how you finish the Gilda grilled cheese. Mmm, a perfect grilled cheese. It's fatty in a good way, cheesy, melty, but it's so bright and briny, and there's like meatiness from the anchovies and the olives, which you can feel the texture of inside. And then it's got crispy frico. It's like, truly got it all. Mmm, it's so good.